to simply continue working up this way. Okay. So erase as you go. Always have your picture so you can look at what you are doing. All right. So what I'm doing with my pencils, I'm very, very lightly adding some graphite. I'm not really putting any pressure. I'm just letting the pencil put a layer of the graphite on so I can blend it out. Because there are a lot of really dark shadows around this eye, and I can't quite get that degree of darkness with just the blending stump. So there is an eyebrow here, but I do have this like kind of triangle shadow. So let's see. So this eyebrow is going to pretty much go like right here. So I'm just paying attention. There's a little shadow here. And I will probably still continue to darken some areas up around the eyes. Now this side of the forehead, there's a lot of highlights. So there's not going to be too much dark shadows and too much to do in this area other than blending it out, making sure my grid isn't showing. There's usually some little shadows up here by the hairlines that you can kind of see. So check on your person. And I'm just going to kind of keep blending so it's nice and smooth and not splotchy or blotchy or whatever you want to call it. You can do small circles, little circles, big circles, ovals. Okay, sometimes you get weird little areas like this that the graphite seems to stick a little more. And you can take your kneadable eraser and kind of try and pull some of that off. Sometimes that's like a residue from an eraser, or sometimes it's something on the paper. Or if you get your graphite, you're blending some dirty with something else. I'm not sure what caused that one. So it's always good to work in a clean area. If you get anything on your paper, like you spill anything like water, oils, that is going to kind of mess up your paper in that area, and you're just going to have to do the best that you can. I mean, if this was like a professional drawing you're doing for somebody, you would have to start all over. But because this is a class assignment, we do not really have time to start completely over. And you may not even have the supplies. So you're just going to have to kind of continue with what you have. And then hopefully it's not so bad that it messes up. He does have some shadows here in the center with like this highlighted wrinkle. So even though it's a wrinkle, you may be tempted to draw it with the pencil, but if you notice, we see the light area. So what I would do is I would shade this area, and then I would use my kneadable eraser or the sharp point of my other eraser to create this line. Not all wrinkles are created with a pencil, and not all of them are dark creases. Usually if your person is older, they might have deeper wrinkles, and those can sometimes be darker with an actual pencil. But a lot of times for younger people, they're not that deep of a wrinkle. So you want to constantly move your blending stump to help kind of spread that out. The shadow kind of comes up here to his widow's peak. Widow's peak is when your hairline kind of goes down into that peak. So I'm probably going to go back through this more, but what I would do is I would take my kneadable eraser and I would create those lines kind of that way. And then you can even, there's that lighter line with a little bit darker line up top. So you can kind of come in and shade that. And it's kind of a process of going back and forth to get what you want. Now this is a really dark crease here. So very lightly I'm going to add some graphite right here. Like I said, I pretty much never put pressure on the blend or on the pencil. I just kind of let it make its mark. So see, as I'm like working areas, when I come back around to this area, I will be darkening up this eye, which will darken up these shadows because this shadow in here is really dark. So it's usually like a layering process. You just kind of have to keep going back and forth. Um, and it's not necessarily redoing areas that you've already done as much as it's adjusting them and reevaluating them and adding something that's missing. So this is definitely darker in this area. Sometimes it's a little hard doing this sideways. I want to turn it, but I want you guys to be able to see what I'm doing. Okay. Now this goes way too like bulged out in that area. And I will fix that. I'm not worried about it right now. I kind of want to focus on some more of these. Once I get back to this eye, I'm going to kind of fix this whole area. Because this just comes out too close to the eye. It needs to come in a little bit more. So it looks like his nose is like got like a growth on the side. So I don't like that. It needs to have more space. So I will fix that. And that's what's nice is you can go back and fix these things as you're working. That might help a little. Helps a little bit. It's a little bit harder for me to see, but it's easier for the camera to see. So in the next video, I will continue. I'm going to start working on these dark shadows over here. I'll go down and fix the shadow on his nose by his eye here and like start getting these darker shadows. So just kind of keep going. There's definitely still some darker shadows around his eye over here that I'm going to want to get. It's easy to go darker. It's hard to go lighter. So that's why I always very gradually darken areas and increase shadows because it's a lot easier. It can be really difficult to erase, so it's a lot easier to add more pencil to your project than taking it away. then you don't ever want to lose those highlights, so I kind of come back in here every once in a while, kind of re-grab these highlights as I'm constantly going back and forth. So a lot of adjustments.